Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we are going to completely decode the absolute flood of leaks surrounding the highly anticipated iPhone 18 Pro. If you've been anywhere near the tech space lately, you already know the rumor mill is in overdrive right now. We're looking at a device that promises to totally reshape Apple's approach to performance, to photography, and actually even its historic launch calendar. So, we've sifted through all the credible supply chain reports and leaks to bring you the definitive blueprint of exactly what to expect from the iPhone 18 Pro's launch date, its specs, and its biggest features. To make sense of all this data, here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the new iPhone roadmap, the design and that rumored dark cherry color, next-gen camera upgrades, the wildly powerful 2nm A20 chip, the 2-day battery goal, and finally, expected pricing and our conclusion. All right, starting things off with Section 1, the new iPhone roadmap. So, Apple is completely shaking up its predictable release schedule. You know how historically we've practically set our watches by those 4 new flagship iPhones dropping every September? Well, looking at the leaked roadmap, Apple is actually adopting a split launch strategy. Basically, if you want to upgrade in the fall of 2026, you're going to have to opt for the premium iPhone 18 Pro, the larger Pro Max, or that highly anticipated new iPhone Fold model. For users looking for the standard, more affordable models, like the iPhone 18, the 18e, or the Air 2, you're literally going to have to wait until the spring of 2027. It's a massive strategic shift that essentially pushes all the early adopters straight toward the higher-end premium devices. Moving right along to Section 2, Design and Dark Cherry. Every single year, Apple introduces a signature color for its Pro lineup, right? And for the iPhone 18 Pro, it looks like we can officially say goodbye to Cosmic Orange. According to supply chain leaks and specific Pantone color codes, the new headline color is dark cherry. And guys, this isn't some bright, punchy fruit punch red. It's a really sophisticated, bold shade that's much closer to a deep glass of wine. It's going to be joined by light blue, dark gray, and of course, a classic silver. The device will reportedly keep that premium anodized aluminum finish, but they're updating the glass back to minimize the color difference between the glass itself and the frame, giving it a much more seamless, unified look. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the evolution of the display. The TrueDepth camera system is getting heavily miniaturized. For years now, we've had the standard dynamic island sitting right at the top of our screens. But recent CAD renders and supply chain leakers are indicating that the dynamic island on the 18 Pro might shrink from 20.7 millimeters down to just 13.5 millimeters. That is a massive 35% reduction in width. It's basically going to give you significantly more unobstructed screen space for your content whenever your live activities aren't running. Which brings us to Section 3, Next-Gen Camera Upgrades. Shifting our focus to the back of the phone, Apple is plotting a massive, multi-staged camera overhaul that's going to completely redefine how we shoot photos on a smartphone. According to the super reputable leaker Digital Chat Station, Apple has a distinct 4-part master plan. Now, while some of the craziest features, like that staggering 200-megapixel periscope lens, might actually get held back until 2028, the variable aperture for the main camera has reportedly already entered production, and it is highly likely to debut right here on the iPhone 18 Pro. This is a huge deal, folks. It marks the very first time Apple has ever implemented this specific tech on an iPhone. So what does variable aperture actually mean for you everyday use? Well, let's break it down. From the iPhone 14 Pro right up to the 17 Pro, Apple has used a fixed f1.78 aperture. The lens is just always fully open. A variable aperture, however, is a physical mechanism that actually adjusts based on your environment. Think about it. In bright, harsh sunlight, it physically closes down a bit to prevent your photos from being totally blown out and overexposed. But in a dark, dimly lit room, it opens wide up to pull in the maximum amount of light. It drastically improves your low-light shots and gives you this incredible DSLR-like control over the background blur or your depth of field. Let's jump into Section 4, the 2nm A20 chip. Let's dive literally inside the device. So the crucial point here is the transition from a 3nm manufacturing process down to a 2nm process. Apple is partnering up with TSMC to manufacture the brand new A20 chip, making it Apple's first ever 2nm silicon. And in the world of microchips, smaller is absolutely better. Shrinking that fabrication process down to 2nm allows engineers to pack millions of additional transistors into the exact same physical space. And more transistors, that translates directly to a chip that runs faster, generates significantly less heat, and drains way less of your battery. Just looking at the raw metrics for a second, reports indicate the A20 chip is going to be up to 15% faster in raw processing power. But honestly, more importantly, it's expected to be a staggering 30% more power efficient than the previous generation. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how they're doing it. To achieve those massive gains, Apple is utilizing a new packaging technology called WMCM, which stands for Wafer-Level Multi-Chip Module. Basically, instead of having your RAM sitting next to the processor on the board, WMCM integrates the RAM directly onto the exact same piece of silicon as the CPU, the GPU, and the neural engine. This closer proximity vastly speeds up the intense processing required for things like Apple Intelligence. But even better, it shrinks the overall physical footprint of the chip itself, freeing up some incredibly precious real estate inside the phone for something we all desperately want: a much bigger battery. And that leads perfectly into Section 5, the 2-day battery goal. For years, smartphone users have been on this quest for true, multi-day endurance without constantly needing to hunt for an outlet. Well, Apple is finally targeting that milestone. Leaks reveal that the iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to cross a major threshold, packing a massive battery estimated to be between 5,100 and 5,200 milliamp hours. That is going to be the largest battery ever put into an iPhone. When you take that massive physical capacity and combine it with the 30% power efficiency gains of the new 2nm A20 chip we just talked about, industry insiders are whispering that the ultimate dream of a 2-day battery life might finally become a reality under normal usage conditions. Imagine literally leaving your power bank at home for a weekend trip. And hey, when you do eventually have to plug it in, you won't be waiting around for long. Apple is apparently shedding its traditionally conservative stance on charging speeds. Reports indicate the entire iPhone 18 Pro lineup will support 45-watt wired fast charging. With the right power adapter, this upgrade means you could blast your phone from completely dead to a 50% charge in roughly 20 minutes. Just plug it in, take a shower, and you're good to go. It's a massive quality of life improvement that really helps Apple catch up to some of its high-end Android competitors. Finally, Section 6, expected pricing and conclusion. So, let's recap real quick. We've looked at the redesigned aesthetics, the incredible variable aperture camera, the groundbreaking 2nm silicon, and that absolute unit of a battery. The real question is, what will all these premium hardware upgrades actually cost you? Behind the scenes, these upgrades are incredibly expensive for Apple to pull off. Producing that new 2nm A20 chip costs TSMC roughly 50% more to manufacture than the previous generation, plus global memory costs are steadily rising across the board. But despite these massive overheads, leading supply chain analysts like Jeff Pu report that Apple is actually planning a really aggressive pricing strategy. By negotiating favorable component deals elsewhere, Apple is expected to just hold the line. They want to keep the starting price of the iPhone 18 Pro right at $1,099 and the Pro Max at $1,199, specifically to aggressively maintain their overall market share. Which brings us to the ultimate question for you, the consumer. We've totally decoded the fall 2026 roadmap today. You know that if you want the standard models, you're waiting until spring 2027. But looking at this Pro lineup, with its unprecedented 2nm processing power, a variable aperture camera that actually functions like a DSLR, and the genuine possibility of a 2-day battery, does this blueprint change your upgrade plans? I want you to weigh these leaked specs against the phone that's currently sitting in your pocket. Is the iPhone 18 Pro the leap forward you've been holding out for? It's a fascinating strategic shift from Apple, and we absolutely cannot wait to see how it performs in the real world. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and make sure to keep your eyes on this space as we continue to track these awesome developments.